Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Night with County Executive Stuart Pittman. And our topic tonight is just simply jobs. And I've got with me our head of our Arundel Workforce Development Corporation, Kirkland Murray, as well as the chair of the board of the Workforce Development, Walt Townsend, and then representatives of two of our major employers in the county, Nancy Mishko from Live Casino and Hotel, as well as from Luminous and Arundel Medical Center. We also have Julie McGovern, who does all the hiring and the human resources for them. So it's going to be a conversation really about where we are right now in the county. The timing is really good because Workforce Development has just finished the public comment period on their plan, their 2021 local plan for workforce development in the county that they would do normally, but this is a really great time to be doing a plan because as we come out of the pandemic, I think, we talked about recovery, roadmap to recovery, and all of this stuff, recovering from the pandemic since the early months of the pandemic, and the recovery never seemed to be happening. And now that we've got people getting vaccinated, we've got 20% of our county residents vaccinated now. And we're just starting to see the numbers of the supply of vaccines increase rapidly soon in the coming weeks, we expect. So my guess is that this summer, a majority of our residents are going to be vaccinated, and we're going to reach that magical thing they call herd immunity, which means that we're going to be out and about a lot more. And most importantly, for a lot of families, it's going to mean going back to work because kids, it's going to be summer, so that's going to make it a little more complicated. I know there are going to be a lot of school programs this summer, but kids are going to end up back in school, which means parents who have been out of the workforce are going to be back into the workforce, we hope. And it's been a really, really difficult time in terms of jobs. You'll hear a little bit more from this panel about what it's meant for Anne Arundel County, but I watch every month what the unemployment claims come in. And early in the pandemic, Anne Arundel County was about 10% of the claims filed in the state. And we're about 10% of the state's population. That's what you would expect. Good news later on is we dropped as a percentage. So I think throughout the pandemic, we've been at about 7%. We got down as low as 5% of the claims some months. So that says something about our economy in Anne Arundel County. There's some resilience there, but we also know that it's the restaurants, travel, entertainment, personal services, and retail. Those sectors have been the ones where the job losses have been greatest, and that's 24 and a half, almost a quarter of the jobs in Anne Arundel County. And those jobs, 70% of them pay $16 an hour or less. So, when you hear in the national news, it's the same story in Anne Arundel, that it's the low-wage workers that have been most likely to lose their jobs, also most likely to have been frontline workers, most likely to have contracted COVID. And it's been a really, really tough and difficult year. But as we're coming out of it, in addition to hiring happening, and there have been some bright spots even during the pandemic, and we'll hear about those with hiring going on. But I know both of the major employers that we've got here are doing some hiring and some rebuilding, particularly at the casino, where it's not only the casino, but it's also the hotel, and it's also all of the restaurants there and all the other entertainment, the new hall at the casino that just really gotten open before the pandemic came. So there's going to be some major increases in activity there. And in the whole healthcare industry as well, there's been a lot of changes, and there'll be more changes coming. But the federal money is gonna also impact these families that have been hit hard. So the projections are that childhood poverty may be cut in half as a result of the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act that just passed Congress. And that's because of tax credits for families with children, as well as the earned income tax credit and other programs. And then we have a $1 billion program in the state of Maryland, the Relief Act, that also is going to be distributing money soon. So there's going to be more money in the economy. There's more opportunity, we hope, in the county. We're doing work to complement that with work to close the opportunity gap in our schools and the work that's been going on in the county. I've talked about it over and over again. I won't go into it. We've got a great report that if you haven't seen it yet, you can get it on aacounty.org or just aacounty.org. The homepage, I believe, is a nice 4-page synopsis of the new programs that have been created as a result of the pandemic, mostly with CARES Act funding, that have filled holes in the safety net and provided services to families that have been really important. So I feel like the future is bright, but it's ours to shape. And what our employers are doing is a huge part of that. So I'm going to start out with asking Walt Townsend to lead us off with a little bit of a description of what Workforce Development Corporation as an institution does. And I just want to say that we are really lucky to have Walt as the chair of the board because Walt was, there's probably nobody in the region that knows the economy better after 27 years running the BW Corridor Chamber of Commerce. And I think I got that. It may have been a misprint, but I saw 27 years. That's a heck of a long time to be in a job like that. So there must be a lot of knowledge gained. And certainly you've seen a lot of changes in this region during that time. So we're lucky to have you chairing the board for workforce development. So I'm going to turn it over to Walt for a few minutes, and then we'll work our way around, and then we'll come back to questions that hopefully the audience is going to put in. If you haven't already emailed them in, you can still do that, or you can just put them in the Facebook comments, and then they'll be forwarded on, and I'll read those questions. So Walt,
right,
can you tell us?
Thank you, County Executive Pittman. I appreciate it. Well, it's my pleasure to serve as the chairman of the local Workforce Development Board. And the board in Anne Arundel County, there are 12 of these boards across the state. Most of them are county specific. There are several which are multiple county involved. And our job is to oversee and to guide the local workforce development systems. We have 26 members, slots on our board, 24 are filled now. We're looking for 2 additional people at this time. And it's made up of 51% of businesses. They're the ones, that's the way the law sets it up. 20% labor. And then we have our workforce and community partners, 2 of whom you're going to hear from this evening. But we have the finishing trades, the elevator trades, we have economic development, the community college, we have the school system, we have the Department of Social Services, and all of these entities coming together to provide a consistent and seamless overview of the needs of our employers and our employees in the county. And we just completed the local plan, as County Executive Pittman said. This is a four-year plan. It's about a 150-page document. And as he indicated, I think Friday at 5 p.m. was the last time that 30-day review by the general public was made available. And so we'll be finalizing that. And these are guiding principles for us. The focus is to provide enough latitude so when we have situations which come upon us, such as COVID, that we're able to adapt quickly. And we want to expect the unexpected, shall we say. The vision of the board, well, first of all, let me talk about our focus. We try to serve everyone, both employers and job seekers, but let's be honest, we want to put people, train people for jobs that exist. And so we've focused on 4 areas, and we have an acronym called HITCH to help us remember it. But the H is for healthcare and social services. The I is for IT, which is professional, scientific, and information technology. The T is for transportation, which includes warehousing and logistics. The C is for construction, which is both construction and manufacturing. And then hospitality, which includes accommodation and food services, retail and entertainment. And the hitch industries make up about 53% of all the jobs in Anne Arundel County and are expected to contribute to 70% of the growth within the county. So it's very important that we're working where the greatest need is. And basically, we have set as our vision to have a high performing workforce system that is robust, seamless, and equitable so that Anne Arundel County businesses have a pipeline of skilled workers and all Anne Arundel County residents are connected to family sustaining employment. So that's what we're about. It's been my pleasure to serve as the chair of the board for a number of years now. And it's very exciting to me to have all these people come together to gain their expertise and to work with the phenomenal staff that we have at the Workforce Board. They're doing a great job, as you can imagine, and all of us have been greatly challenged by having to pivot things that we were used to doing. We had to do a different way. And so you can imagine they've been used to having face-to-face services and now had to go to Zoom meetings, conference calls, whatever it took to get that information conveyed and to serve the people and their needs. And so I'm really excited to have with me this evening and have on this call both Julie and Nancy, who represent two of the larger employers, but we have representatives from the National Security Agency, which is not only the largest employer in the county, but the largest in the state. And we have, as mentioned live, we have large tech companies. We have Southwest Airlines, and we also have one of the world's premier boat builders in South County. So we have the maritime industry, which is represented on our board. So whenever we come together, I like to say that we're there representing X number of thousands of individuals who are currently seeking employment in the county. They're unemployed. And for all of us, having a job is a very important part of our lives because it enables us to support our families. It gives us great deal of pride and satisfaction in knowing that we're at work, we're contributing. And so we feel that this is one of the most important things that we can be doing. And that's what motivates me, and I think motivates all the people that are on the board because they want to see every person in Anne Arundel County who wishes to be employed. So that's a general overview, and I'll be happy to answer any questions later on if we have time.
All right, thank you, Walt, and thank you for your service to the local board. The document that he was talking about there is, I always look for the executive summary, and there's an executive summary, the 10-page version, and you can go to the AAWDC. Actually, you can probably tell us how to find it on the website, Kirkland. I found it under the board of the Workforce Development Corporation's website. There was a link there, and you can take a look at that. So Walt does the big picture stuff from the board level and that plan. Kirkland manages the day-to-day operations. Tell us what you actually do and how you connect these employers and these job seekers and how it works.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mr. County Exec, for having us on. You're right, the timing is just perfect for this. With us releasing that local plan, you can go to www.aawdc.org and go under the local board tab at the header, and you can see a copy of this plan. We're very excited about this plan. This plan is a blueprint to how we're going to, as you always say, make Anne Arundel County the best place for all. So it really has it's a compliance document, but we're using this as a kickoff to our strategic planning. So over the next couple of months, the board will put some action items there, both short-term action items and long-term. So short-term, it's going to be how we're going to help Anne Arundel County residents get back to work, help Anne Arundel County businesses get the workforce that they need to get their doors back open and continue to grow. And then long-term, we have some goals about income equality and making sure that all Anne Arundel County residents can get to that family sustained wage so that they can afford to live here in Anne Arundel County. They can afford to send their kids to school. They can afford to have that savings. We look at it as employment as that tool to get Anne Arundel County residents to that self-sufficiency. So we're very excited about this document. It's been a year now. It was actually a year ago today that we started delivering services virtually from home. And, we've been very busy doing this time and doing that and helping Anne Arundel County residents not only connect to employment and build skills, but to support them through this difficult time. Through your leadership and your ask of Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation, we were proud to oversee and administer the Humanitarian Relief Fund, which provided $500 Visa cards to almost 5,000 Anne Arundel County residents to get them through this difficult time. And we continue to do that through your leadership with the Impacted Worker Support Fund that's helping restaurant workers and some of the restaurants, some of the industries that were hard hit again in November with the spike. And so far, over 2,000 people have been able to connect that with that and receive that $500 Visa card. But we've been here the whole time helping Anne Arundel County residents who are looking to go back to work, to connect to work, to give them those opportunities. And we look forward to being here as businesses reopen and start to connect. As Walt mentioned, we work with both businesses and job seekers. For our businesses that are looking to connect to workforce, we are there to advertise those jobs, promote those job opportunities, and connect them to workers. We have a dedicated recruiter on our staff that works closely with businesses and help them to find the right workers for their jobs. But more importantly, we have over 50 dedicated staff that are working to help job seekers to get those skills that they can to get back to work, connect, and more importantly, to move up a career pathway to help them advance. So we look at it in 3 different buckets. We help people to connect to work. We help people to transition. So, some of our industries, it may be a little ways before they come back. So there are going to be workers who are looking to transition to other industries. One example that we've done with this is our IT fundamentals training that we're doing now. So we're taking individuals who are looking to transition into IT jobs. We know that is a job growth area in Anne Arundel County. So we are providing the training opportunities they have to get those additional skills to transition into that industry. We look at helping our job seekers to get the skills they need to advance in their career. I'm excited to tease that in the next month or so, we're going to be launching a new tool that we did in partnership with the Baltimore Metropolitan Council, which is a career progression tool that will show individuals that if they start in a certain career, I'll use healthcare, for example, they start healthcare at a CNA, certified nursing assistant. That's one of the entry points into healthcare. It would show them what type of skills they would need and how they can move up all the way up to nursing. And it shows not only the skills that you need to gain, but the wages that you can, that increase in wages. So we're going to be very excited to unveil that tool in about a month or so for that. But, Anne Arundel County is poised to come out of this very strong. We have a strong base here with our industries, and Walt gave you some statistics on our hitch industries and those job opportunities. But we have employers who are looking to connect people to their job openings. I was just talking with Reliable Construction. We're doing a hiring event with them on the 23rd, and they have jobs that they're looking to recruit for right now. They're really looking for. We have a multi-business hiring event that we're having on March 31st. So there's jobs out there. So as people feel safe, people start to get vaccinated, kids get back in school, and people are ready to get back to work, we're going to be here to make sure that we help them get back to work.
Excellent. I know you are. I just have to say something about that humanitarian relief program. I thought it was fantastic that we were able to do that through workforce development, so that people who lost income, these were only employees at I think $25 an hour or less previous pay, who'd lost income, so they were lower wage workers, to connecting them with workforce development. Because sometimes it's just that first call to workforce development that it's hard for people to make. And then they get connected to you, and then they find out all the programs that you've got and all the opportunities, and it's a whole world. It's a window into entering a new field of employment, finding training. It's not just finding jobs; it's finding training programs, right? So
exactly,
it's important stuff. So thank Thank you. And I also, both Walt and Kirkland said something about how they believe that their work is the most important work in government. And it's hard to argue against it, because if everybody had livable wage jobs, we wouldn't need all these social services, right? We wouldn't need, housing wouldn't be an issue, cost, and all these other programs that we have. So that's ultimately where we want to get, is everybody gets a good job that pays enough to live on without any help from anywhere else. But we got a ways to go still. I'm going to turn it now over to Nancy from Live Casino, and I got to just say what a great partner Live has been in Anne Arundel County. We're lucky that because of the way the casino law was written, that there's a nice pot of money every year that we get to give out, both to support county services, but also in grants to the community, the local development corporation, they call it, and the board that does that. But really the jobs have been great, and your relationship with community college to train people to work there. And then as you've expanded, anybody who hasn't been there should check out the hotel. Is pretty darn nice. And now they've got the hall, which is the entertainment venue that Anne Arundel County has needed for a long time, to be able to pack thousands of people into one location. And it's where our high school graduations are going to be. I think this year they're planning to do them outdoors to, some abbreviated version of it, but hopefully by next year we'll be back and doing them there. And right now you can get vaccinated at Live, right?
Correct.
The health department is running a great vaccination clinic at the hall. So tell us what you're doing, what things look like in the industries that you represent. It's not just the casino.
Sure. Thank you, County Executive Pittman, and our partners at Anne Arundel Workforce Development, and the viewers for the invite to get the opportunity to speak. It's always a pleasure. As far as the hospitality industry, I think with every industry, we were hit hard. I think because of our industry does not allow itself remote, we're face-to-face contact with individuals. We were hit very, very hard. And I think the Hotel Association, the American Hotel Association, referenced that the impact of the COVID pandemic was basically 9 times that of 9/11. I think because of the residual impact that went so national and worldwide. For the gaming industry, we had a slight advantage over freestanding restaurants and hotels in that we have the trifecta of the gaming component tied to food and beverage and our hotels. But we did end up closing. Prior to closing, when the pandemic was first announced, we had an all hands on deck approach where every level of the organization, from executive to line level, were committed to cleaning, security, and covering everything that we would need to, assessing contact points and all of that. So we created in the first few weeks a Play It Safe live program to help support what was needed for a safe environment: the cleaning, the sanitizing, the masks, the distancing, the monitoring of the volume of people coming onto property. So we shifted a lot of positions into new positions that were required specifically for maintaining the industry in COVID, as I know a lot of local restaurants and hotels also did. Our hotel went from a general 80% occupancy during that time of year to a 25 to 30% occupancy, and the same as we're reopening. Some hotels aren't as lucky. Sometimes they don't have the support of a larger business like a casino to support them. So I think many of them were hit a lot harder. Curbside service is not enough to sustain a restaurant. So that's why we were so excited as of March 12th that we went to the 50% capacity and looking forward to reaching to our 100% capacity. I think in general, when you talk about the hospitality industry, whether it be a hotel or a gaming environment, every venue has some kind of culinary component. Prior to the pandemic, the culinary environment was very challenging because of the opening of food services in big box stores and grocery stores actually put a strain on the entire culinary world. And so we are now, I believe, leveling off now with the pandemic, and we're rebuilding the culinary environment and the tradition of education that's connected to the culinary services. So in getting back into the uh, hopefully the what we may call the new norm, we're excited about that. With the pandemic, additionally, you had mentioned um, that we opened the hall, which was our event center and is our event center that seats 4,500. We had to close that down, but we're lucky to have found a use for it. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But the challenges on the front end were very difficult. I think, we spent a lot of time staying in constant communication with our employees during a period of downtime, and everybody, the majority of our employees did come back. We have about 2,200 employees. Right now, we are actively recruiting for 200 additional positions. So I say to everyone out there, we are open. We are open for business and very excited. And I know a lot of companies in hospitality, smaller hotel venues and restaurants are saying the same thing. Please come to our doors. 50% occupancy. We're glad to have you on board, and we'll do what we can to keep you as a returning patron for us. So we are optimistic about the future. Some of the positives that we have going on right now is in April, we're opening up our new sports and social venue, which basically is one of a kind of sports bar, gaming parlor, social lounge. So that should be a lot of fun. It'll have at a classic sports tavern, and then interactive games, which will be fun. We're also opening two of our restaurants that have been closed now for a number of months. So we're recruiting professionals for all of those areas. Generally encourage people to go to recruiter at livech.com. Just email us any questions they have. We'll be happy to answer. And one thing on a positive note, we're lucky at Live. We have been an expanding corporation, which have allowed us to move individuals and grow individuals into some of our other gaming facilities, which allow us to continue to draw from the Anne Arundel County um, uh, environment to be able to pull people into the gaming industry. So it's a great career opportunity. I myself have been in gaming for 25 years and 15 years in hotels prior to that. When I came on board, I never expected to have a career in hospitality, but it just pulls you in, and it's a lot of fun, and it's an enjoyable environment. So we have right now our event center, the hall, is being used as the COVID vaccine clinic for the county. And I know just in one day, they're putting through maybe 300 people getting vaccines each day, 5 days a week, which is very exciting for the county. I think that does wonderful things. Our Four Diamond Live Hotel has received a certification called Share Care Health Security Certification from Forbes Travel Guide, which grew out of this whole pandemic situation, which is an expert validation of best practices. To receive that certification, we were scrutinized very rigorously, so we're very proud about that certification. Um, but to support what the county executive had mentioned is the partnerships that we've developed with Anne Arundel Workforce Development, the Anne Arundel Impact Workers Support Fund, where employees who've lost wages due to COVID have received a $500 Visa card if they're Anne Arundel County residents for lost wages. We've had over 250 team members participate in that program, and it's been very, very, very exciting for our employees to have that relief, particularly after the holidays. So that's a personal thank you to Kirk Murray and Scott Wallace for keeping in constant communication with us and reminding us to keep pushing that program. And we're going to continue to do that. Additionally, Live offers scholarships and apprenticeship programs for table games, security, and IT with Anne Arundel Community College and workforce development whenever the opportunities present themselves. The scholarships and apprenticeships are generally ongoing year round. And we also work with Matt Herron at Anne Arundel Community College, the Hotel Culinary Arts and Tourism Institute, in developing potential culinary applicants, which is it's a fun participatory thing for our management team and our line staff to be involved in, to be able to draw new people into the industry. So all that being said, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and glad to have applicants come to our door.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, we're really lucky to have Live there. And if you haven't been out there at Arundel Mills Mall and the casino, it's not just the casino, but there are going to be some fantastic live events at the hall. I remember the first time I talked to I think David Cordish years ago when they were talking about putting the casino in. He told me that the company, the Cordish company, is one of the largest bookers of live music in the world. That you, from all of your facilities around the country, you book so many bands, you have your connections, and so we're really looking forward to having some great music coming into Anne Arundel County as a result of that as well. So let's move into health and the healthcare sector, which is a huge part of our economy in the county, and hear from Julie McGovern at what we've always known as Anne Arundel Medical Center, but is now we call Luminous. I love that name, Luminous. It's both Doctors Hospital in Prince George's and Anne Arundel Medical Center. We're bigger, we're better, we're still the most important part of Luminous, I'm sure. But Julie is the Human Resources Director and can tell us what's going on in the industry and job opportunities.
Thank you, County Executive Pittman. I really do appreciate being here representing both the Workforce Development Board and Luminous Health. Luminous Health came into existence in July of 2019 when we acquired Doctors. And we are headquartered in Annapolis, and basically we see about 1 million of your residents a year, whether it's your neighbors, your friends, your family members. We have 2 hospitals right here in Anne Arundel County. One, of course, is the main medical center, and the other is J. McNew, which is a mental health or behavioral health hospital. And that is just an amazing story that we opened that up in the middle of the pandemic, just a year ago, March, and with everything that was going on. We also have our substance abuse facility, which is called Pathways. We have about 4,500 employees just at Anne Arundel Medical Center and McNew. And we also open up 50 clinics and medical offices and spread throughout Anne Arundel County every day, in addition to operating 2 surgery centers. So we really are a large employer, in the area. We're not the largest, but we're up there in the top handful. And we try and be a great place to work for all of our employees. We work hard to be able to deliver the right care to our patients, which means we have to take care of our employees. We think of ourselves as a destination hire because there are a lot of people who want to work with us, and just regionally, but also nationally. But we do have a focus of hiring locally, and we also have a very significant focus on diversity and inclusion. And we have programs and initiatives directed right from our board of directors to ensure that at every level of our organization, we have our employees represent the community, because people want to be taken care of by people that look like them. So we invest in ourselves. And one way of putting it is we're looking to grow healthcare workers. There's a national shortage of healthcare workers, and it's going to get larger as more and more baby boomers are retiring. And then just the workforce keeps changing. So we do this in many ways. We do a lot of training ourselves. We have schools within our own organization. We also work very closely with community college. They are a huge partner of ours, and they just do amazing work. We also are a teaching hospital, so we train every level, but we have 3 residency programs: internal medicine, OB, and surgical services. COVID has had a huge impact on our organization. 1 year ago, I'll never forget what it was like. Every industry was impacted by COVID, but the healthcare industry, unlike anyone else, we had to keep our doors open. And every day we were dealing with patients we didn't know anything about. And we were going through this crazy time where we had to shut down our surgery and our ambulatory practices. And that resulted in a furloughing of about 1,000 employees. And at the same time, we were short hundreds of employees to take care of these onslaught of patients that were coming in. We converted cafeterias and conference rooms into patient rooms. And I've been working in healthcare almost 40 years. Studied it, talked about it, but never did it. We had to do it. And then our employees, they didn't feel safe. There was a shortage of PPE. They were working short, and their families were concerned about them. And they were getting sick themselves. There's no getting around it. To this day, we have our employees, get COVID like the rest of the world. And then to make things worse, the schools had to go remote. And we are 84% women. So a tremendous number of our staff all of a sudden started cutting back on their hours at a time when we never needed them. But we're so grateful to the community support that we got. I mean, the meals, the donated masks, the PPE, probably the highlight of the whole thing was every week there was caravans of police and fire department that just circled the hospital and honked their horns like crazy and made a heck of a lot of noise. And it was so well received. The employees were rushing out the doors to watch that. It made a big difference. So these were very dark days. But as we look forward, happy to report we furloughed 1,000 employees. We're able to return 93%, about 7%. We didn't bring back the majority of them. It's because they found jobs. They had been, they were looking and they found something, or they just felt healthcare wasn't for them. There's a portion of people that are just still afraid to come back into the hospital environment. That's a tiny piece. Our volumes are not where they were pre-pandemic. We were starting to see a nice upward slope, and then the second wave hit. So we do have fewer inpatients, but the patients we're caring for are sicker, so our staffing needs continue to be great. We do believe healthcare's future is exceptionally bright. Every week we have at least 300 openings. We continue to grow. I hire between 40 to 50 new employees every single week. The majority of them are clinical staff, highly skilled RNs, physicians, pharmacists, but there's a huge tier of what we call mid-skilled jobs like phlebotomists, patient care techs, med care techs, and we're doing training with the Workforce Development Board to be able to get people to start in those careers. And we also train in our own house. We have support staff. We run hotel services, just like Nancy's group. So environmental services, food services, you name it, we fix it, we do it. And we have IT. We are a small city, over 150 IT, finance workers. So Kirk mentioned the programs that he's put together, but if people want to learn about healthcare, because we are hiring, they have a wonderful booklet that's coming out that tells you about the different jobs we have, what the entry level is, and how you can move up and how you can grow your career within there. So our business is still growing. We now have more remote workers than we ever had, and probably a number will stay remote. And we're seeing changes in how we deliver our care. The COVID, we went from working on telemedicine and hoping to have 1,000 telemed visits in a year to thousands in a week. It was just amazing. We also are operating a clinic right there on the campus. We are prepared to do 8,000 shots a day as long as we start getting those vaccines in. We've been doing, we can use every shot we can get, and there's plenty of people on our list to take care of. So things are, like I said, we have a lot happening in our hospital. We are looking to bring people in. We're looking to provide careers for them. We're very proud of the fact that our entry-level salary is $15 an hour, and that we are a place where people want to work. So take any questions or turn it back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember when you made the announcement that nobody was going to get paid less than $15 an hour at the hospital, and that was a major statement, and we appreciate that. And I got closer to some of your team. We've been meeting weekly with both of our hospitals in Anne Arundel County with the health department, talking about Baltimore Washington Medical Center being the other, talking about capacity and how things are evolving with the pandemic, and now fortunately talking about vaccinations, because you're doing a lot of vaccinations as well, particularly I think with some of our churches and our community vaccination clinics that we're setting up. So thank you for that also. But it was a scary time there. It was a scary time in the beginning, and then in the fall, people had gotten used to COVID and didn't worry as much. But the projections that the Hopkins modelers were putting out for what might happen in the hospitals was pretty overwhelming with the number of patients. Fortunately, once again, people were careful, and the numbers got pushed down, and things turned out to work out. So thank you for everything that you're doing. But amazing careers in the industry. I have a few questions here I want to jump into, and then hopefully we'll have where we at on the clock. We're 6:42, so we have 15 minutes or so before we got to wrap it up. But the first one I want to do. You're going to love this one, Kirkland. I love this one too, because this is a program that we both love, which was the Humanitarian relief. This is from Kathy, who says that Visa gift card was a lifesaver for me. I had to close for 2 weeks due to COVID, and it bought my groceries for a month. And I gotta say that this program, it sounds simple. You just take some of the federal CARES Act money and you give people $500 gift cards, but simple, it was not. Local government was not designed to give money to people on the streets. There are all kinds of things that are set up to keep you from doing that. Economic development assistance to a company, pretty straightforward. You transfer into their account. It's all, but Kirkland had to do a lot of work to get through all the government red tape, and the 5,000 or so people that have benefited from that really have benefited. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it is when you really need it. So thank you for writing in, Kathy. Another question. That wasn't really a question. This is from Jeffrey. Is the county moving enough towards an economic future that is less dependent on land development and less dependent on the associated population growth that drives it? Are we moving towards other industries that provide higher levels of productivity and economic efficiency to our economic base? So I can actually address that one, and the timing is great because we're in the middle of, we're towards the tail end of creating a thing called Plan 2040, which is the land use plan for Anne Arundel County, the 20-year general development plan, and it's before the county council right now. And very few people read the whole thing because it's even longer than your workforce plan. It's in 2 volumes, but it does exactly what Jeffrey's talking about. I hope it's all in the implementation. These plans, if you throw them on the shelf and let them just to collect dust, it doesn't work. But if you implement this plan, it does exactly that. So a lot of the economic development and job creation that we want is in areas that are already developed. So it's redevelopment activities in a lot of cases. We have parts of the county that need just that, and we have vacant commercial space. And for us, as a result of this pandemic, we may have a fair amount of vacant office space as well from people working at home, which is great for the environment. Great that they're working without having to take up take up space and build things, but it allows new things to come into those spaces. So we have to keep working at creating the jobs, creating the livable wage job, the higher paying jobs, the jobs at every level. And so I don't see this kind of job growth as necessarily paving over Anne Arundel County. Everybody knows I'm Mr. Environmentalist, farm boy from South County, really want to preserve the beautiful nature that is Anne Arundel County. And I think we can do that. I think we can have the jobs and do that. Does anybody want to add anything on that? Walt, you've probably been around land use issues quite a bit with Chamber of Commerce. Any thoughts on that question?
Well, as you know, there are a number of emerging forces. One is, often referred to as a gray tsunami. The number of people who are aging, and that population is growing steadily. So the demands that puts on our economy, but also the opportunities that exist for caring for them and so forth. But the job creation, very, very exciting to see what's taking place. And I think with the COVID, a lot of businesses which were reluctant to allow people to work remotely, that changed the dynamics greatly. And so there are a lot of employees who are going to be, looking for jobs that allow that as the preference rather than not. So how that will impact things remains to be seen, but I think we're going to see more adaptive reuse of space to allow for meetings where people can congregate maybe 2 days a week. They work from home and then they come to a central place. So as there is need for less office space, what are we going to be doing with that? So we have to be creative in assessing that. I just think there are so many unknown factors at this point, but all of it we're going to have to work collectively on to achieve some solutions. And I often think about when you talk about land use, and this is taking place in various parts of the country, where you have individuals who are either entry level or mid level, and housing is very expensive. You have a number of people who want to age in place, as they say, who have very nice homes, sometimes spacious homes. Can we develop a program where we allow younger families to be co-located with an older individual, maybe through an accessory use type of dwelling or something like that? So I think we have to think about all those things as we're looking at this to accommodate those people for housing and other needs. So,
good thoughts. Yeah, I agree. The one institution that has come up, I think maybe all of you have mentioned it, is Anne Arundel Community College. And I don't know how many people noticed, but Forbes magazine just ranked community colleges in the United States. And guess which one was #1 in all of the United States? Was Anne Arundel Community College. Huge, huge, huge honor for them. And they do great work. Kirk, can you just describe how workforce development works with the community college and what they offer?
Definitely. The community college is a great partner with us, and we're very blessed and lucky to have a community college like Anne Arundel here in the county and be able to be a partner in the workforce development system. The thing that is very lucky with Anne Arundel Community College, they are very flexible. They're very mobile. A lot of community colleges, I work with a lot of workforce boards across the country, and they don't work with community colleges because community colleges are in that rigid, we only start classes at a certain point in time like that. We work closely with Anne Arundel Community College that we put up training classes right away. We're working on several now. We just finished a pre-apprenticeship electrical pre-apprenticeship training that we did with Anne Arundel Community College. We a lot of our CNA, GNA that we do with Anne Arundel Community College. So they're very flexible when the businesses need the training or when the hiring is happening, they're willing to put that training in place. They work with us to screen the clients. They support the clients while they're in training with any supports they need, extra tutoring, extra education assistance. They provide that, and then working with the businesses to get them hired. One of the things that the local workforce board has done is take a real demand-driven approach. So when we're looking to do training for an industry, we have our industry collaboratives with the community college sits on that to tell us what are the skills that are most important to that. And Anne Arundel Community College is always willing to adapt their curriculum to meet the needs of the business, and making sure that they're providing the skills that that business really needs. So we're really blessed to have that. I know they've been great partners with both Live and Anne Arundel Medical in helping them get the workforce that they need, the skilled workforce that they need.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Who did somebody say something?
No, I was just going to say I agree 100%. And we needed surge techs, and the next thing you know, they're working with us to create a surgical tech program. We needed farm techs, and they work right with our leaders, and they design the program based on what our needs are. Truly an amazing and flexible group.
Yes.
Yeah, they really are flexible. I think community colleges are the future, more and more.
Also, I wanted to add about the new Clausen Center at the college, which is specifically for the trades. Jim Clausen's generous bequest to the college to enable them to establish the center. And I would encourage all parents who may be listening tonight to really consider and talk with their children about the opportunities that exist for trades. They don't realize how much, a seasoned elevator technician is making well over $100,000 a year, and couple that with the college, have somebody else pay for your college. So you get the best of both worlds. You get a college education and you get a trade that enables you to start off doing very well. So I can't tell you that often enough to have parents. And actually, on a conference call we had with Freeman Hrabowski, who's president of UMBC, he mentioned that in restoration of one of their buildings, he was talking with an elevator technician, and he said, when he found out how much they made, he said, well, you're making more than many of my tenured professors are at the college. So he said, as a college president, I have to say, you're going to have to look at all opportunities and, again, let somebody else pay for your college education. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in addition, we have, you mentioned the elevators and the trades, and the trades unions have their own apprenticeship schools where they will pay for your education as well. And so carpenters, electricians, plumbers, the whole bit. And so there really is a good system locally to be able to get into these trades. And I think our Anne Arundel County Public Schools is realizing that that's a very important part of education, is to get people, which is why they have CAT North and CAT South and all of that. So,
also, the public school system just submitted a proposal to the Maryland Department of Labor that they're going to start doing youth apprenticeship programs. So starting connecting people right from high school into apprenticeship programs. And it's one of the visions of the local board that we are able to start apprenticeships in all of our different industries. A lot of people look at it for the trades, and it's been a great way to get people, really good wages and build them and help them move up a career pathway in trade. So we're taking that model and looking at it other industries. Nancy mentioned that they're working with the college for gaming apprenticeship program. We've been working with Anne Arundel Medical to looking at some apprenticeships in some of their occupations, pharmacy tech, to do this apprenticeship program. And we also working with our IT industry to build these apprenticeships. So looking at these apprenticeships and non-traditional as a way that people can move up a career pathway to good wage jobs, and usually a lot of times without that debt of college.
Yeah. So our public school system, our community colleges, workforce development, and then all the private employers and the unions, it's a whole world that of opportunity. I'm going to end it with one question from Consuelo, which is, simple. Where can we find positions currently open in the county? So what does it really look like when somebody either calls your office or goes to your website? Just give us the advice you would give Consuelo.
So what we really encourage people to do is that we have a Facebook page that have all of our job openings on that. You know, all the businesses that we're working with that have job openings. To go to that Facebook page, and it's Anne Arundel County Hot Jobs Facebook page. Or you can go to our website, www.aawdc.org. So that's where we, a lot of our businesses that we work with, we post their jobs there. And then we also link out to those businesses' job boards. So that's the best place to go for jobs. And as I mentioned, at the end of the month on the 31st, we're having a virtual hiring event. So there's a great opportunity. So, you know, there's been job openings throughout this, but, you know, we're starting to see a more increased number of businesses that are advertising for business. I mentioned reliable construction, you know, matter of fact, to the point that they're even paying a hiring bonus. So they're paying people to come to work for them. If they stay, they give them another bonus. So there's definitely job opportunities out there.
Good, good. And for people who aren't as computer savvy and might need a little bit of hand holding, the Anne Arundel County Public Libraries are really a pretty decent place to go, and someone will help you get online and get connected. And I believe that your staff also, do you go to the libraries as well to help out?
The libraries is you know, we're unique in Anne Arundel County. The libraries is part of the workforce development system for that very reason, because they are in everyone's community, easy to get to. So we have a partnership with the libraries that we provide them information on jobs. We provide them information on, you know, we have handouts there on how to do a resume. We do go to some of the library when the libraries are back open, when they're fully back open. We do host some of our workshops on how to connect to jobs, how to do a resume, how to do interviewing skills there in the library. And we work very closely to make sure that the librarians are understanding workforce development and can be able to help people. So you're 100% correct, County Exec, that, you know, the libraries are a great place to get some assistance with workforce development.
And I just have to note that right now, the libraries had opened for a while and closed, and there have been a lot of COVID issues. And the way it works right now is that you can go into the library. The librarians are there if you make an appointment.
Right.
So they're not 100% open. Fingers crossed it won't be long before they are again. But they can definitely help you out. So this is all good information and makes me feel optimistic about the future. And it's spring. There are jobs, there are opportunities for education, and people are getting vaccinated. So it's a good time to be in Anne Arundel County. So thank you, Nancy and Julie and Walt and Kirkland, for making this work. And have a great evening.
Thanks. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.